Ho, ho, ho! I'm dressed like Santa Claus!
Whoa, this really looks like it's gonna be a pretty exciting and energetic episode. Really looking forward to what's coming up next. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to ChristianCinema.com for sending me the DVD for this episode. I really appreciate it. They're really nice over there. Surprisingly so. I'm not sure why they like my show, but apparently they do. Go check them out. Once again, that's ChristianCinema.com. Check them out because they seem to be pretty chill. So let's get into this episode. It's Christmas time again, and you know what that means? It's the time of year when Christians and non-Christians alike put aside their differences, come together, and get mad about how they heard that there are Christians out there getting mad about red cups waging war on Christmas. It's about time for me to join in the fun, so here we go. Welcome to my review of Movie Night, Christmas movie. Welcome to my movie night for Christmas. So I've been getting requests to review this movie for a year now. Ever since I reviewed Saving Christmas last year, people are like, Kevin, you gotta check out Christmas with a capital C. It's like Christmas mixed with God's Not Dead. And I'm like, great, I'll get to it when it's Christmas time. I mean, I'm not gonna review Christmas movies when it's not Christmas time. I've already got myself locked into this pigeonhole of the guy who reviews Christian movies. I don't wanna also be the guy who reviews Christian Christmas movies all year long. Whew, geez, what am I doing? Oh, right, I'm gonna review this movie. Do you think it's gonna be better than last year's review? I mean, not the review itself. Of course the review is gonna be great. Hopefully it's better than last year. There's only one way to find out, and that's to jump in it. Let's find out together. Grab your candy cane and get ready for my review of Christmas with a capital C. I don't know what you know about this movie. What I know is it's a Christmas movie. Other than that, I'm not sure. I just hope it's not a dirty movie. Oh, good. It's a Pure Flix Christmas movie. All right, so the movie begins with this shaky GoPro footage of some snow-covered mountains. Come on, guys, really? You can't stabilize your footage? This is really easy stuff. I could do it for you right now. Wasn't that hard to do. So we're introduced to the setting of the film, which is in this small Alaskan town filled with grumpy old men who just don't like newcomers.
Big truck's coming up through here.
Yes, George, that's a truck.
Be a mess of potholes come spring.
I think I'll run off naked through the snow in Alaska.
Someone new moving into town? Haven't heard anything yet.
Hurry up, movie, the suspense is killing me. I bet you U-Haul paid big bucks for this product placement. Yeah, that's a U-Haul, all right. Why is the T not worn out on that sign? Did it used to say Merry Christmas? All right, so the newcomer turns out to be Alec Baldwin. Oh, sorry, it's a Pure Flix movie. It turns out to be Alec Baldwin's conservative right-wing brother, Stephen. No? Turns out to be Alec Baldwin's other cocaine-addicted car-thieving brother, Daniel Baldwin? Seems like a weird choice, especially since this guy has a tendency to use on-location film gigs as an excuse to avoid court dates. But I'm sure that has nothing to do with why he agreed to do a film in Alaska. So on top of getting Alec Baldwin's lesser-known brother, the film also stars Ted McGinley, who you might remember from the movie Do You Believe? Or if you watch stuff that's a little more secular, then you might remember him as the lovable Jefferson on Married with Children. Plus we get Christian stand-up comedian Brad Stine, who from what I've seen is a pretty cool dude. But we'll see. This is the first time he's shown up on the Say Movie Night Kevin chopping block. I'll let you know what I think about him after the review, which I should get back into right now. So the Baldwin boy turns out to be the high school rival of Ted McGinley's character, who happens to be the mayor of this small Alaskan town. But don't let me tell you about their high school rivalry. Let the movie do it. About 5 more times.
You know, I heard you were mayor, but it turns out you're the handyman.
Oh, you're funny. We're building a platform for the town Christmas display. I don't know, we just figured after 5 decades, the Mother of God deserved a proper place to kneel. It's only right.
You know, just doing Christian stuff, you know, it's no big deal. We're just the best people ever.
Last we heard, you're some hot shot.
Oh, he's loaded now.
Struck it rich.
Yeah.
Oh, now we know about your character.
Thought maybe I'd come back and check out the old place, you know, see some of my old friends. How's Kristen doing?
She's good. Our kids are good, too.
Oh, snap, he went there!
I didn't mean anything by it. I was just being polite. Look, we're not in high school anymore, Dan.
We clearly haven't been in about 100 years. As we noticed, there's a little bit of tension still between the two of them.
Moving van.
That's a compound word, right? I don't know about you guys, but I think that character might lead to something in the future. But first, let's cut over to this kid who's on the ski slope, and he's there with a girl who clearly likes him. Oh, I'm I'm not supposed to find out about that till later on in the movie? Sorry. Spoiler alert for people who are dumb. Anyway, she shows him how fast she is at ski.
Pretty good, huh?
Not bad.
For a girl.
Christmas Cup is coming up. You entering?
Of course.
As long as they don't turn it into the holiday cup.
Good luck.
Cut to later that evening, the time when the menfolk come home to the women working hard in the kitchen.
I'm gonna be the angel in the Christmas program, Dad. That means I get lines.
Star of Bethlehem roll.
Oh, I am so glad you're home.
Oh,
Can you help set the table?
I have people who do that for me.
You only joke about your lack of actual power when you've had a run-in at work.
Huh.
Is that true? Mitch Bright stopped by town today.
High school Mitch Bright?
But he's not in high school anymore. He told me about it. All right, so we're about 10 minutes in. So far, we don't really know what the movie's about. In these movies, they tend to not set up characters, but more things that are happening to characters. And I know it's early on in the movie, but they've already wasted a lot of time.
Well, you think we should invite him for dinner?
Oh, yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't ya?
Hey, what's wrong with you?
Boy, there's just something wrong with everybody.
All the girls are reading these vampire books.
Did he say all the girls are eating these vampire books?
All the girls are reading these vampire books.
I just can't keep up with what all the other girls are doing.
He wants the girls to be in love with him instead.
Okay, all
don't
right.
get my hopes up.
Listen, your mom read all those books. I know exactly how you feel.
Has Mom read the Twilight books?
Can we please find something to thank God for?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do with this review, but you're not making it very easy. So the next day, we have a little father-son bonding time.
So who's that guy you were talking about last night?
Mitch Bright? Just a guy from back in the day.
So maybe this is for them character development, because it's the third time they've explained to us about this Mitch Bright guy. We get it. He's the bad guy. We know.
You had a high school rival? Just seems like everybody likes you. So what did you guys compete over?
Football, basketball, skiing, running. Mom, I won that one.
Eventually, but not without a few bumps in the road, if you know what I mean, kid.
Your mom was the girl in high school.
Now, these Alaskan schools only having one girl?
Still is.
She's still in high school? Guess that explains why she's reading Twilight.
You know, you're lucky if you made it this far without a rival.
Yeah, kid, you're really lucky that you've made it this far in life without somebody challenging you. It's really nice whenever you can just coast along in life completely unopposed. That's what builds character.
I didn't say that.
Really? Somebody's giving you trouble?
My situation's a lot different than yours. Yours seems a lot easier.
Of course.
What, are you gonna come out of the
course
closet or
yours is
something? Ow! What, you're not, are you?
How was yours worse?
Mine's a girl.
She keeps pantsing me in gym class. I knew this was coming. Meanwhile, at the local coffee shop, Mitch Bright begins his evil plan.
Can I get a cafe Americano with soy, please?
Of course. Soy.
Hey, Josie,
Ah,
how's business?
Can't complain.
I mean, I just sold a cafe Americano with soy.
What do you think it would take to make it better?
A miracle.
More customers, I guess.
Yes, that's literally how businesses work.
I have some ideas on how I think I can make that happen.
Meanwhile, I assume, down at the docks, where the snow, I guess, has melted.
This is the only time of year the entire world has this like shared experience of peace and hope for the future, and strangers are loving each other.
I don't know if that's the entire world. Hey everybody, I'm the comic relief. Whoa, wacky.
What's wrong with you?
Kristen invited Mitch to our Christmas party Sunday night.
Oh great, she's probably gonna fall in love with him again. Excuse me.
She said it was the Christian thing to do. I know he's got an angle.
A Christmas angle?
Why would he come back here after so many years?
Your wife, clearly.
Maybe he's just weary of the city life and he wants to return to the simple town of his youth.
No, that would actually make sense. Can you give me another scenario that even sounds ridiculous when you say it?
Or he's still mad at you after all the time you've been in high school, and so, after festering for 20 years, he's returned to exact his revenge.
Could you go back to singing?
Hey, could we spend more time establishing that Mitch is a bad guy and not to be trusted? I just feel like half the dialogue being dedicated to that just isn't enough to drive that point home.
Thanks for the help.
You're welcome. I know that it would be super obvious and a bit cliche, but I kind of wish that they were setting up for the old switcheroo, you know, to make it so that the Christians are like, man, that guy, he's a total jerk, he can't be trusted. And then it turns out that he's actually just a nice guy who's in town and he's changed and he's trying to ask for forgiveness, and everybody is like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Mitch, we missed
misjudged you. Sorry, we'll never do it again. And he's like, no, you won't ever do it again because I'm an angel sent by God and you failed the test. To hell with you. Sorry, I got a little carried away. Probably giving the movie a little too much credit.
Cut to the stock cabin placement shot.
Hey, be careful now.
Well, it's getting late.
Well, I guess it must have been a really big party. So big, in fact, that they could only play the audio from it and not show it on camera. Anyway, after the huge party, we get this, interesting conversation where we find out the truth as to why Mitch Bright is back in town.
I find your ideals to be wildly conservative compared to the rest of the country.
That's because they are.
This is coming from the guy that went to Berkeley and lived in San Francisco for 10 years.
This coming from the guy who's playing the comic relief in a low-budget Christian propaganda piece.
Look, just because we're the 49th state doesn't make us a third world.
There is a surprising amount of hocus pocus here.
Native religion?
I mean Christianity.
Dun, dun, dun! Do you really think this is what people have a problem with? You can't pretend that this is the only reason anybody would dislike Christianity.
I mean, sure, there are those select few who just believe that religion is poison and it's all superstition and it's harmful and think it's regressive, and they reference the Crusades and think that all wars started because of religion and not just a lust for power and the desire to control people. But I don't think that's everyone who disagrees with you. Typically, most people don't care what club you belong to unless it directly affects them, and then they're like, oh, I don't like how you're telling me what to do. I mean, if this was a real situation, you would have to ask, what is it about his religion that's affecting or influencing his decisions as mayor? Don't pretend to be the mayor and then go to your chess club tournament and act like that's more important. He's not the pastor of the town, right? He's the mayor.
I recall you competing with Dan for president of the youth group back in the day.
Well, there isn't much I wouldn't compete with Dan about, as you well know.
I think we all remember that time I kicked his butt in strip Jenga.
That was an act?
No, not an act.
I mean, if I could act that well, I wouldn't be in this movie.
American culture is not limited to this small town bubble that you live in.
What I'm trying to say is the rest of the country doesn't wear ridiculous sweaters like that.
I'm trying to understand what you're implying.
What? He's trying to imply that he's actually the jerk that you guys thought he was all along. That you did misjudge him. That it's good to go on our first instinct on everybody and judge them accordingly.
Why do I give these Pure Flix movies so much credit? It's like I overthink it, so it actually is a big surprise to me at moments like this where I'm like, oh, the story is just...
I don't know why I expected anything different. It's just the same movie they always do.
Unrealistic villain comes to town and wants to destroy Jesus.
I would be willing to wager that a majority of the people in this town find your religious piety annoying.
Oh, here we go.
Annoying.
Me? Nobody has ever found me, Brad Stine, annoying.
And they re-elect me because...
You're so good looking.
Ran unopposed in the last 2 elections, Dan.
Just because God's out of vogue in the big city doesn't mean we throw him away like last summer's fashion magazine.
Dad, you threw away my Vogue magazine?
Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe a lot of your close friends that were here tonight wouldn't.
At that huge party that we totally just had.
Guess there's no way to prove it, is there?
I don't get it. If this guy's all about money, then wouldn't he want a more conservative mayor? Don't conservatives tend to lean more toward less government involvement in business? Unless he's trying to start a porn shop or an abortion clinic across from an elementary school. Why would he go to this small town to do that?
Maybe I would make a good mayor someday.
Oh, the truth comes out. A lust for power. Then we have one of the most confusing scenes ever, which when I first saw it, I was like, okay, he's like asking her out on a date to the Christmas pageant?
You ought to come. I mean, I'll be there. Maybe magically make a chair appear next to me.
Yeah, I'll probably come.
But then I realized here when he comes in, she says this.
Hey!
Hey, sweetie.
That's not like a, hey, darling, welcome to my quaint small town diner. She just called him sweetie like that's her husband or something. I don't know if they used to be together and now they're not. If so, then this is a terrible way to tell us that backstory. But now it's all I can think about. It's consumed my entire brain. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, you figure it out.
Well, Merry Christmas.
But then we get the most genius scene in the movie so far.
Your son's getting faster every day. That's what I like to hear. How you doing, Coach?
I hope this town keeps re-electing you.
All right, what do you want, Hank?
How are plans going for the Christmas Cup race?
We have got a great turnout, and are you going to enter?
Yeah, maybe so.
I'm gonna beat you up at school today.
Yeah.
Wait, is she not real? Is he the only one who sees her? No, Kevin. This is a pure Flix movie. There aren't any cool twists.
Oh. Yeah, school, sure.
Wow, this is a real relief. But then we find out that evil has befallen this beautiful Christian town. This bear is the last atheist who tried to come to this town.
A formal complaint has been filed about the town Christmas decorations.
Oh, snap! Apparently somebody wants you to stop painting Christmas ornaments and actually start doing your job as mayor. Can you believe that?
You complain about Christmas?
It says that because the town is spending money on Christian imagery being placed on government property, we're in violation of the Establishment Clause.
Oh no, another Christian lawsuit movie? Ugh.
Now I'm gonna have to make a bunch of common sense political arguments.
And I'm gonna have to deal with a bunch of comments of people saying, hey Kevin, I really agree with your views on faith, but I really don't get your politics. I'm sorry guys, Pureflix is making me do this. They just love mixing the two together. They love making the person who is standing up for their faith a person who's employed by the government, creating this really convoluted situation. I didn't want to do this, but now I have to. So buckle your seatbelts and let's make like Blink-182 and give you one more reasoned argument.
Who filed this complaint? The Grinch?
Mitch Bright.
Of course he did.
Does he have a case?
Potentially.
Right before Christmas.
Unless you want to find a compromise before then.
Sounds like a good idea.
No.
What?
I don't want to compromise.
Well, if you think that's bad, wait till Dan's brother gets a load of everything that's happening. He'll have some words to say.
Okay, so you're telling me Mitch Bright comes back here after 20 years, and the first thing he does is get a load of our nativity scene? He's like, oh, gee, we gotta sue somebody because, you know, what if some child innocently gets a glimpse of the baby Jesus?
Why is there so much melted snow in the middle of winter? I've never been to Alaska. Shout out to all my Alaskans out there. Maybe they melted it for the runway. Just let me know in the comments below. Thanks.
Why stop there? Let's go after those, I don't know, people that say, God bless you after you sneeze.
It's a slippery slope, isn't it?
Christians happen to have started the United States of America.
Really? You sure you want to make that argument? Is the we were here first principle really the hill you want to die on? I don't know, but that might come back to bite you.
Because it's my country too.
Hi, folks.
Well, good to have you, Harmon.
Awkward.
Okay.
Not that he said all that in front of these people, just that the people are such bad actors. So then we cut over to the City Hall Council meeting.
You got us into this.
We voted unanimously to spend the money on it.
We voted.
We did.
So did we do something wrong or didn't we?
Ah, you see? I warned you guys about this. I'll let you know ahead of time that this was coming. Let's just look at this in a logical way. Public property. That's supposed to be for everyone, right? Because everybody is supposedly chipping in and then everybody shares the property depending on how much money you make. It seems like the more you don't need public property, the more you have to pay for it. That's beside the point. Stands to reason that people will probably fight over what gets done with that public property, right? Like, why wouldn't they? I've used this analogy before, but it's worth saying again. I mean, public property is essentially the same thing as living in a house or a dorm with a bunch of your friends.
And you have the community or common areas that are outside of the rooms and it belongs to everyone.
So if one day Steve is like, hey man, I'm gonna be practicing with my band in the community area. And then Frankie is like, oh man, you can't do that. I'm gonna be hanging out with my girlfriend watching a movie that night. And then they fight over it. But instead of 5 or 6 of your friends, it's the whole city. So how do they solve that? Well, in a democracy, of course, we put it to a vote, and the people with the most votes gets to bully the people with the least votes into paying for property that they don't even get to use for what they want to use it for. It's the perfect system. I mean, that's the way it works, right? I know movies love to talk about, hey, you gotta stand up for your principles. Who cares, though? I mean, in a democratic situation, principles don't matter. You gotta have the majority of people to agree with you, in which case, are you really standing up for your principles, or you're just going along with the crowd? When was the last time you read in your history book about the guy who stood by his principles by going with the crowd and really changed the world by doing what everybody else did? What a hero. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating against democracy. I'm just doing math. And in a democracy, if you want something to happen with public property in a local town, then 50% of people have to agree and then they win. Doesn't mean it's necessarily the right decision, it's just the decision. Or what you can do is just sell the land, make it private property, and then the private property owner gets to do with it what they want to do with it.
It costs a pile of money to fight this case, and come spring, we're gonna need to fill a whole bunch of new potholes.
And we need to spend spend more money on snow removal. We went cheap on the rock salt this year.
Even though this isn't the perfect scene or anything, I really like the way these characters are portrayed. These conversations really seem like actual conversations that would happen. It really feels like this whole situation has just come out of the blue for them and they're trying to figure out what to do. I actually kind of believe that this is possible, that some hotshot lawyer would come into town and he's got his newfangled ideas and he's gonna push those on everyone and he's just really good at swindling people. Kind of reminds me of like an Andy Griffith episode.
Willa has the legal under control. It's not gonna cost us anything.
It's just gonna cost the taxpayers, that's all.
So do we need to take down the banner outside?
The injunction is preventing further decorations.
We could replace it with something. It's old anyway.
So now we just replace anything that's old?
We gotta fight for our traditions, just not the tradition of putting old people on an iceberg and sending them out to sea.
Well, I will have a little chat with Mitch.
Well, good, because I really want to know what's happening with your son and that girl that he likes.
Do you wait for me to come to the trails?
I'm just training, same as you. So, your dad's not here?
No, he's busy.
Good, because I'm gonna murder you.
Do you want to ski together?
No. Didn't you see my true love skates ring?
You're the best skier on the school's team. Of course I want to beat you. That's how I get better.
What? Competition can challenge people to get better at things?
Never mind.
Anyway, after that pointless scene, we cut back over to Mitch, who's influencing the town.
There are cruise ships passing our harbor every day. We have a glacier right at our doorstep. Yet there's only one company that offers excursions.
Oh, it's so evil that this guy would want to bring in a competing cruise line. If this was a better movie, they would have realized that they literally just contradicted themselves by creating one scene where the girl says that the only way she can improve herself is by having competition that challenges her. And then the very next scene, you show the bad guy being evil by trying to bring in competition to the town.
I don't think you really have a problem with Christmas.
I do have a problem with Christmas, as I do with Jesus and God.
And Santa.
All the rest of the garbage you Christians have been jamming down my throat since I was a kid. You so-called Christians are the same people cussing me over a parking spot at the mall.
It's almost like each person has individual agency, and Christians aren't supposed to be one big collectivist hive mind.
The most of you followers are the most unforgiving, unloving, even bigoted people I've ever seen.
If we're already done a name calling, this conversation is over. I'm not gonna let you hold this town hostage.
And as the mayor, you are bound to follow the letter of the law, my friend. You cannot preach your religion down.
And as a citizen, I have a First Amendment right to express my own beliefs.
But you do not have the right to spend the tax.
See how convoluted all this is because they made him the mayor of the town? If he was just a pastor trying to put this nativity scene in front of the church and this guy came in and tried to take it down, this whole thing would be solved in like a day.
Congress shall pass no law respecting the establishment of religion.
Or prohibits the free exercise thereof.
It's been a while since I took my political science class, but I believe you're quoting the Constitution, which is a federal document, not a local one.
You want to run for mayor of this town, try to change it? You go ahead, try it.
Is that a dare, Dan?
Dare, Dan.
You don't think it's obvious why you come down from the hill and you've tried to pander to the common people?
I think it's quite apparent why I'm here every morning. Free wireless.
That was a funny line. Good job, movie!
But it doesn't matter how great these guys' comebacks are, because the town is starting to change. Oh no. Season's greetings? Really? No!
What are you doing?
Bert, Ernie, what's the matter with you two guys?
Season's greetings?
It works for everybody.
Doesn't work for me.
Well, you're outnumbered, Dan. Welcome to democracy.
I'll admit, you're not wrong. The season's greetings thing is pretty dumb, like trying to be all-inclusive. We gotta cater to the smallest minorities. Or should I say, minorities? I shouldn't say that, should I? No, sorry. I think the call for inclusivity, coddling the minority, contradicts itself. At my parents' house, we always have this little angel that goes on the top of the tree that I made in kindergarten that's made out of a toilet paper roll. So that tradition puts us in a very small minority because nobody else puts that particular toilet paper roll angel on the top of their tree, but that's why it's our tradition. Like, we don't need anybody else to do it. There's not enough resources to accommodate every single person's tradition, and why would you need to? Are you gonna go around and do a survey and see what everybody's Christmas traditions are? Then you might as well just have a democracy where the person who gets the least amount of votes wins.
So then we get this montage of Mitch Bright running his campaign and seeing how the town has become divided because both sides refuse to be the bigger person. None of these businesses have to do this. They're private businesses. choices, completely independent from the government and what they're having to do. Meanwhile, Dan's realizing this is the very first time he's ever faced any sort of opposition as mayor.
So he starts to question life.
Just thinking.
Thinking about what?
My life?
My life is basically over now that we can't put up that Christmas sign.
If I'd gone out and seen the world, I just wonder if I would have lost my faith.
Well, maybe, maybe not, but nobody would have an issue with it if you weren't the mayor. Then we find that this anti-Christmas nonsense is hitting a little too close to home for the mayor's brother.
Happy holidays.
How dare you?
I'm pretty happy. You are too, aren't you?
Here we go.
Hey, that's what I was about to say.
There's really only one holiday that makes me happy in December.
New Year's Eve?
Well, me and 98% of America.
Oh, good, you've changed your position. Great. I didn't think that whole we were here first thing was gonna work anyway. Now you're saying there's more of us, there's a majority, and so you get to tell everybody else what to do. I don't agree with you on all of that, but at least you're being honest with how you think it is. Of course, if you are going to make the there are more of us argument, well then you might not be able to get mad when the tides start to turn.
Boxing Day, right? Make you happy? Not me, because I don't know what it's for.
And I'm certainly not gonna learn about any cultures that are different than my own. Screw you, Canada.
Christmas is the only holiday in December that makes me want to get up and shout from the rooftops.
Oh man,
Holy
this
day,
video's gonna go viral.
So here's to you, Trapper Falls. Merry Christmas.
Nobody's saying you can't say Merry Christmas. Like this meme I saw the other day. What are you even talking about? Who's saying you're not allowed to say this? It's not gonna happen, guys. Meanwhile, Maybe and George Michael find themselves on the ski slopes. They both had a mutual fondness for each other, but also too afraid to let the other one know. So they begin this awkward scenario of a downward slide, graciously attempting to let the other one win. This led to what in later years would come to be known as the slowest race in Alaskan history. But then, oh no!
I'm okay.
She wasn't.
It's a slippery slope.
So do you think he really wants to be mayor?
Yeah, of course.
Possible he's trying to divide the whole town over this Christmas thing just to see who's with me.
What? No, he's not. He's trying to divide the whole town so he can become mayor. That's his goal, right?
What are you going to do?
Stand by what I believe in.
But does his daughter take this stand by what you believe in thing a little too seriously?
How are you, honey?
Hi, good.
You're in breach of the preliminary injunction.
Are you saying I can't sit here and sing?
No, you can't. This is government property.
Please.
But I'm not government property.
Well, with Obamacare you are.
What I understand, the First Amendment applies to Christians too.
So Mitch attempts to remove her from the premises.
I'm serious.
Honey, please come down. Let's go.
Hey, I said don't.
Put your hands.
Are you?
Put your hands
Hey,
off me.
back off!
This is a tough situation, because I'm not sure what constitutes assault. He definitely seems like he's harassing the girl. He's a jerk, that's for sure. I don't know if you can press charges for somebody just being a jerk.
Either way, this whole thing doesn't sit well with Mommy.
Well, you said we should stand up for what we believe in.
You know, I can tolerate snarky bumper stickers and letters to the editor, but the fact is Mitch Bright called the cops on a child. This fight has gone far enough.
What are we supposed to do? I mean, we're supposed to put up, we put up a menorah and then we put up the Kwanzaa. I don't even know what that symbol is.
Of course you don't.
Where does it end?
It's a slippery slope.
The point is, the person bringing the complaint hates all religion. He hates God.
How can you hate someone if they don't exist?
Our tradition is technically in violation of the Establishment Clause.
Forget the Establishment Clause.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. There's where we want to teach our children. Disrespect for our country and authority.
No.
Yes, please. Teach them that. I mean, if you're teaching them that they have to unconditionally respect their country and authority, and then you're also teaching them right from wrong, aren't you just setting them up to be confused in the future whenever they see that their country is doing a bunch of things that are wrong?
This is an injustice.
What is justice? We gain back our Christmas decorations?
Nice edit. I thought for sure she was thinking right then. Watch.
What is justice?
Now, as frustrating as this movie has been for me, and as God's Not Dead victim-y as it comes across, I genuinely, honestly, truly like what they have to say right here.
The nativities become too important. Lovely as they are, they're statues made of wood, and we'd best not make them idols.
But then they gotta ruin it with this dumb line.
Christmas starts with a capital C. The C comes from a name, Christ.
Christmas starts with a capital C because it's a proper noun.
But I will say that what she's getting at here is very good. And it would be wrong and unfair of me, and I would be a terrible reviewer if I didn't point out what is said right here, because I think it gets to the heart of the reason I make these reviews in the first place.
I don't think this is something City Hall can do, but it is something that we as Christians can do, something we have to do. If we spent less time worrying about our rights and more time worrying about others' needs, then I think we might actually be doing Christmas.
Meanwhile, I think the movie needed to fill up some time, so they had Brad Stine just improv the story of Christmas, doing it his own special way. Here's a few of my favorite moments.
You. In a world where there was no television, or Xbox, or texting. Actually, I'm not really good with this. I'm suddenly like pregnant without explanation, which means my fiance can kind of like officially stone me, which completely ruins my makeup. Go ahead, make my baby. Baby! But she does it off stage, so it's kind of icky.
I think this movie could do without this subplot. Of course, then it would be shorter. So yeah, it sounds perfect.
Are we supposed to just let people like Mitch stomp all over us with the law?
What, are we supposed to just turn the other cheek or something?
What does this Christmas with a capital C look like?
I would wait till it comes out on DVD.
The people expected a political messiah. He humbled himself, and he became God with us. And he began to heal humanity by loving them, one heart at a time.
So the townspeople begin to do what they probably should have been doing all along, and that's not arguing or trying to fight or yelling about their rights, but they start being loving and kind and caring.
I feel like they're just doing it to prove a point, but I guess better late than never? So now, I think it's like a federal judge comes into town to inspect the nativity scene. Boy, this really puts the Christians on edge because they hate judges. I can't remember. I have a hard time keeping up with which part of giant government is worshipped by which side of the American political aisle.
I have to tell you that if the creche is the only element of the holiday display, and it is owned by the local government and displayed on government property,
then you must rule against it.
I don't personally want to make a ruling against Jesus and Mary, especially at Christmas time.
Who cares what you think personally? Is that really your job?
There are 3 options to consider. You could add to this as a holiday display and include elements of a non-religious nature or of other faiths.
Democracy!
Or the city can donate or sell them.
That's what I've been saying since this whole thing got started. Are you joking with me? Donate it or sell it. Get it out of the hands of the government and put it in the hands of the people.
But Kevin, the government is the people, for the people, by the people.
Oh, that's right. What was I thinking?
And the third, don't display them at all.
All 3 of those are ruining our town's traditions that we've had over 50 years.
Moving the Christ child to another place of honor does no harm to his reputation.
Oh, snap, she's right. Yes! Maybe there are some good judges out there.
Let me know what you choose to do, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Merry Christmas.
And Mitch, being the little Mitch that he is, can't help but rub it in Dan's face.
I told you that you were in the minority, but you wouldn't listen. Guess we'll find out come spring election, huh?
Your role, Donald Trump.
Ooh, topical. Barkley.
But then little Cindy Lou Who says something interesting that clues them in as to the truth about Mitch Bright and why he's in town.
I'd be a little grungy too if all I had in my house was a little couch and a suitcase.
Honey, what are you talking about?
Remember when we delivered the cookies?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Well, when I looked in the window, all I saw was a little couch and a suitcase.
Now they go on this whole crazy, like 30-minute adventure discovering it, but we really don't have time for that and we could skip it and it has nothing to do with anything. It's kind of summed up right here.
So he's ruined. He comes back to town hiding the fact. Not a very good strategy to run for mayor while lying to everybody.
When you see him, you give him this.
Why does he have so much money just in his pocket?
Finally, we get a conclusion to our little subplot. Turns out the girl actually likes him.
I don't think it's the race. She's trying to win.
Oh no.
I think it's you.
Well, finally, it's time for the big race that this movie has been building up for. Yeah, that's right, that's what this movie is all about. It's all about this skiing plot. This is what we care about, for sure. Anyway, that goes on for a really long time and none of it matters. skiing. Well, Mitch has a bit of humble pie when the cruise line guy doesn't show up, so he comes to tell the brothers that he's sorry about it all.
I just thought it would only be right that I come down and tell you myself. When I was a little kid growing up in this town, I was always jealous of you two.
Well, I mean, mostly you, not your brother. He's kind of a loser.
You gotta give him that money.
Now it's time for the Christmas pageant. Remember the Christmas pageant?
So then our mayor friend gets up and walks out of his daughter's play. I know that he's going off to do something nice, but she doesn't know that. This could be really traumatizing for her.
Anyway, he goes over to Mitch's house to give him that money that guy gave him that one time.
It's from an old friend. You know who it's from?
Yeah, an old friend.
Yeah, it's the exact amount of money I lent him over 2 years ago. He was working as a clerk, and he and his wife are having a baby.
So it turns out he is actually a nice guy, kind of.
Thought we'd find you here.
And it was said that his heart grew 3 sizes that day from excessive abuse of alcohol and cocaine. All they had to do was shove Christianity down his throat over and over again.
Did you get my cookies?
Yes, I did, honey. Thank you. They were delicious.
We brought you some more.
Hey, Mitchell boy. These are not Christmas presents. This is a housewarming gift because who doesn't celebrate a warm house?
Wow, Brad Stine, it took you a little while, but you eventually came to what I think may be the right conclusion. You let the guy know that you respect his wishes, but you also went ahead and did the right thing.
And the two brothers make the nativity scene compromise that they should have made all along.
We bought it from the town, got permission to put it up in a public place.
Freedom of religion. It's what makes America great, right?
As long as that isn't a religion that I disagree with. Well, there you have it, folks. Christmas with a capital C. And maybe it's just the Christmas spirit inside of me, but I gotta say it wasn't that bad. I mean, I was expecting like the Christmas God's Not Dead out of this movie. It's pure Flix, kind of the typical, hey, an atheist wants to shut down Christmas, blah-de-de-blah, dumb. And yeah, of course, it had plenty of that type of thing in it, but I guess I gotta say that the bad guy's backstory was a little more believable than like the God's Not Dead series bad guys. It seemed more personal and not just a straw man that's intended to represent everyone who happens to disagree with Christians. You know how really preachy movies are always trying to make a point? Like everything in the movie, every single little bit is representative of a larger cultural issue. Sometimes I just want to say, stop it. Just stop that and just tell me the story. I just want to hear the story. Well, this movie wasn't that. The story just seemed a little more self-contained. I feel like we could see a little more of a struggle on the side of the protagonists, searching their way through life and trying to figure out what the right thing to do was in response to this situation where they were realizing that they had done something for a long time and now they knew things were gonna have to change, but they were resistant to that change and they weren't sure exactly how they could logically make the change. They still kind of made the Christian characters a little too perfect, but they were still human. I thought Brad Stine's character was the best in the movie. Whether they intended it or not, he actually went through a progression of figuring out what the right way to react to this guy was. He was getting mad and he was ready to like tell him, hey, you get out of my town and we were here first and we're the biggest and best. And eventually he came to a conclusion and he showed a lot of grace and understanding and love, which is what Christians are supposed to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being proud of your faith and proud of what you believe in and telling people about that. But it is wrong to be mean to people in the name of your faith, even if you think that they've been mean to you because of your faith. In the end, things that weren't awful. The writing, the cinematography, the acting, the locations. I actually kind of enjoyed the movie for what it was. And maybe that's coming from the perspective of expecting it to be an extremely preachy and victim-y movie, and it wasn't as much of that as I thought it was gonna be. But it was better than the Christmas movie I reviewed last year, and it was about as good as a lot of TV Christmas specials that come on every year. So while it isn't my kind of movie, it isn't the worst kind of movie. With that said, I guess I would give it a 40% on my arbitrary scale that doesn't really mean a whole lot because I can't remember what I gave other movies in the past. I don't know. If you like this episode, then check out my other videos because I've done a lot of reviews over the past 2 years about. Check them out if you want. If you really like the show, then check out patreon.com/saygoodnightkev. That's where you can pledge if you want to donate to the show. There are several great people who do that. Brandon Neely, Westminster Effects, Guitar Pedal Company, Custom, check them out, pretty cool. BarelyProtestant.blogspot.com, really interesting. Leave a comment. That's all I gotta say. I hope everybody has a really Merry Christmas, a very Merry Christmas. That's better because it rhymes. I'm Kevin, holding Christian movies and media up to the same standard as other films and media and movies. I don't remember what it is that I say at the end of this. I'm tired. Good night. This is a hot outfit. What was I thinking? No air conditioner,